considered myself climate conscious. Climate consciousness was what was the norm growing up in Williamstown, where compost bins are as common as Patagonia fleeces. As I got older, however, I slowly began to realize that recycling and carbon taxes were not enough. In environmental science last year, between giggling with my friends and writing on the tables, a great uneasiness settled in my stomach. Still, that uneasiness was rarely more than a quick tug at the back of my mind when I saw a particularly upsetting headline or watched somebody in power blatantly ignore the climate threat. Last July, however, I tagged along with my dad to Shanghai, where he teaches during the summer. The smog isn't too bad this time of year, he told me. Most days, it was hardly noticeable. There were so many other things to notice. Great crowds of people, shirts with nonsensical English slogans, and thick, hot, humid air that felt like a great wet fish settled on my shoulders. But sometimes, when we went out on the river, I could see the smoky air settling on the tallest buildings of the Bund. The smog didn't look like it was supposed to, like it did in pictures. It didn't look dangerous, it looked beautiful, the way the fog settles over the mountains on early Berkshire mornings. Everywhere we went, the appliances were eco-friendly. Toilets, washing machines, refrigerators. In Hangzhou, parts of the cities were sectioned off and only certain cars were allowed to pass through. Some days they let odd-numbered license plates and other days even ones. When I got home, the uneasiness in my stomach was gnawing with more force. The sparseness of the once lush forests was sickening. The bones of the electric companies that had long since shut down were more noticeable. I wondered if the US would ever try to enact a large-scale climate initiative, and I decided it wouldn't. I became cynical. I laughed in my mother's face when she fished out a plastic bag from the trash and threw it in the recycling bin. You think that matters? The fact of the matter is that individual actions are not enough. Incremental policy changes are not enough. Communities are suffering, ecosystems are suffering. We need a plan that combines economic policy with national climate action. We cannot have one without the other. We need to address massive income inequality. We need to transition jobs into clean energy. We cannot ask consumers to foot the burden of climate policies. We must hold massive corporations accountable, no matter how much money they put into politicians' pockets nationwide. I am feeling a surge of optimism that has been absent in me for years. For me and many other young people like me, the new progressive coalition in the Democratic Party is a well of new hope. Yes, they are ambitious. Yes, they speak out of turn and they refuse to fold to those with more experience. And yes, now that I am 18, I am excited to vote for people who take these steps because they may seem radical, but they are necessary. The Green New Deal is something we've not seen for a long time. It isn't timid, it isn't pragmatic. It is, as Nancy Pelosi said, a green dream. There is no time for compromise. There is no time for kowtowing to the whims of corporations. We must act, and we must act now. A Green New Deal is our only option. It is the only option for our district, a district ravaged by deindustrialization, still haunted by the pollution and unemployment left behind when Sprague and General Electric packed up and left us. A district faced with rapid changing ecosystem that by 2100 will resemble that of South Carolina. A district which, along with the rest of the country, faces the most dangerous threat of all, complacency. We cannot sit idly by and expect that someone else will solve this for us. We cannot accept that the Dianne Feinsteins of the world, quote, know what they're doing. So to Congressman Neal, I say this: be bold, do not hesitate. We don't have time to hesitate. And to all of you, I say, remember this: even if we may not always feel like it, your voice matters. Do not allow yourself to become cynical. Do not allow yourself to become complacent. Make your voice count.